You do not fear silence. You fear yourself. When the noise stops, you are forced to meet the stranger in your skin. We drown in distraction to escape this truth, but running only makes the shadows grow taller. You are terrified of a quiet room. It is not the silence that scares you, but what waits for you inside of it. From the moment you wake, the ritual begins. You plug in the headphones before your feet even touch the cold floor. The endless playlist becomes a thick wall of sound, filling every single second. But ask yourself, what are you trying to drown out? This is not a habit. It is spiritual anesthesia. We use noise like morphine. We fear that if we stop, we will hear the poisonous thoughts whispering that we are not enough. So we scroll. We listen to strangers for hours just to avoid 5 minutes of listening to our own heavy hearts. The noise keeps the fever of the soul at bay, but it never cures the sickness. You are busy, but you are not alive. We trade divine peace for a fog where we cannot see the chains binding us. A man who cannot sit alone without a screen is a slave. He is running from a shadow stitched to his heels. What happens when the hum finally stops and you are left holding the pieces of your life? To find the cure, you must be brave enough to press pause. You think you are alone in the dark, but the room is crowded. It is past midnight, and the blue glow of the phone paints your face like a pale mask. Your thumb moves automatically. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Drinking in a war on one continent, a scandal on another, and a stranger's vanity in between. Do you really think this is just a bad habit? It is a military strategy. The shadows that hate you do not need to terrify you with monsters. They only need to keep you busy. They use this infinite stream of noise to keep your mind trapped in a cage of anxiety, spinning endlessly around problems you cannot solve. They know that if your mind stops racing, it might start descending. There is a deep place inside your chest, a quiet room where the true life is hidden, but you cannot find the door because the hallway is filled with static. Every notification is a chain that binds you to the surface. You are exhausted, yet you are terrified to close your eyes. Because if the noise stops, the real questions start. But what if the silence is not a void to be feared, but a weapon waiting to be picked up? He doesn't need to make you evil. He only needs to make you busy. The ancient enemy of your soul bears a title whispered in the desert: the noisy one. He knows he cannot defeat the quiet power of God, so he chooses the weapon of chaos. When the world screams, the mind shatters, and the intruder within grabs the pieces to throw them to the wind. You are pulled between tomorrow's deadlines and yesterday's regrets. You are everywhere, which means you are nowhere. Consider the stillness of a deep mountain lake. When the surface is glass, it becomes a perfect mirror, catching the face of the sun without a flaw. But disturb the waters, and you see only broken light and rising mud. Your soul is that water. The divine is always waiting to be reflected in the center of your heart. Yet as long as the fever of the soul keeps you churning with anxiety, you are blind to him. You cannot see his face in a storm. The remedy is closer than your own breath, but it requires a courage most have forgotten. You have thought about running away. Admitting it is the first step. When the screen burns your eyes at midnight and the traffic drowns your thoughts, you feel a frantic clawing in your chest. It is not just stress. It is your soul gasping for air. Centuries ago, men and women walked out of the cities and never looked back. We call them saints, but the world called them madmen. Why did they leave? Not because they hated their neighbors. They fled because the noise was turning them into monsters. To truly love others, they first had to kill the intruder in their mind. They had to silence the whispering lie that they were the center of the universe. To save their sanity, they sought the great silence in the deep waste, the empty places where there was no place to hide. In the city, you distract yourself with pleasure. In the desert, there is only you, and the silence screams. They sought a cure for the inner sickness, but what they found changed everything. The loudest noise isn't in the street. It is right behind your eyes. The loudest room in the world is the space between your ears. You are drowning in distractions, suffocating under a world that never stops screaming. Centuries ago, Arsenius felt this crushing weight inside the glittering Roman palace. Though draped in power, he was dying inside. He fell to his knees, begging heaven for a way out. He received not comfort, but a battle plan. A voice thundered 3 commands for survival. Flee. Leave the chaos of men. Be silent. Lock the door against the whispering lies. Be still. Arsenius ran to the desert, but the noise followed him. Memories and insults echoed in the cave like a fever. Fleeing the city was easy, but fleeing his own poisonous thoughts was war. Flee. Be silent. Be still. This is the antidote to the poison you drink from your screens. Flee the endless scroll. Be silent when the world demands your opinion. Be still until the muddy water of your soul becomes glass. But how do you find stillness when anxiety knocks? The secret lies not in where you are, but in how you breathe. He appears to be a man buried alive. You think he is escaping reality, hiding from the noise and the heartbreak. You are wrong. He is not lonely. He is the most connected soul on earth. In the cold dark, he fights a war for you. We numb ourselves with distractions because we are terrified of the silence. We run from the shadow of a thought, but he runs toward it. He stands guard at the gate of the heart, wrestling beasts we pretend do not exist. When the poisonous thought arrives, that whispering lie, he cuts it down before it takes root. He takes the fever of your soul and burns it in the fire of his prayer. The darkness breaks. A sweetness floods his chest, a warmth with no physical source. It is not the cheap thrill of the world. It is the taste of eternity. A joy so real, it turns our modern luxuries to dust. You are exhausted because you feed on things that cannot fill you. He has found the bread of life in a barren cave. You crave this quiet power, but to find it, you must learn to close a different kind of door. You fear silence because you believe it is empty. You imagine a cold void where you face your demons alone while the world sleeps. But that is not the stillness we seek. True peace is not the absence of noise. It is the arrival of a person. It happens when the war inside your head finally ceases. Imagine a stormy sea turning to glass, reflecting the sun until water and sky become one. The intruder in your mind, that poisonous thought of failure, is finally silenced. The world screams that you need noise and blue light to feel alive. It lies. When you sweep the debris from your soul, you find the room was never empty. A fire burns there. The heavy chain falls from your chest. You breathe. In this holy quiet, you hear no words, yet understand everything. The weight of tomorrow dissolves, and you are no longer just surviving. You exist in the same space as the Creator. But take heed. This peace is a candle in a hurricane. How will you shield the flame when chaos returns? You think peace is a place on a map. You are wrong. Those ancient warriors walked into the scorching wind to escape the world, seeking a silence so deep it could break a man. But we are trapped in boxes of glass and steel. The noise is not just outside your window, it is in your pocket, glowing blue at 3 a.m. It is the intruder in your mind that screams you are not enough, that you are failing, that tomorrow will be worse than today. We cannot all flee to the Egyptian sands. So, we must do something far more dangerous. We must build a desert inside a high-rise apartment. Right here. Amidst the car horns and the deadlines, you must construct a fortress that the chaos cannot touch. This is not about lighting a candle and feeling good. It is a war. You become a watchman at the gate of your own heart, standing guard against the shadow of a thought before it takes root. When the panic rises like cold water around your neck, you do not reach for the phone. You sink into the stillness. But how do you silence a mind that has been screaming for 20 years? The tool is small, but it is heavy. Pick it up. You carry your own prison in your pocket. Every notification is a crack in the wall of your soul, letting the cold wind of the world blow through your chest. We treat the noise like it is oxygen, terrified that if the feed stops, we cease to exist. Kill the connection. Walk to the box blinking in the corner of your hallway and pull the cord. Watch the lights die. Suddenly, the air in the room changes. It becomes heavy, still, and yours again. Now, shut the door. This is not isolation. This is fortification against the fever that makes your hands shake. Find a match. Strike it against the box, hear that sharp scratch, and light a single beeswax candle. Look at the flame. It does not shout like the screen, it simply burns, consuming itself to give you light. In this flickering shadow, The intruder in your mind will try to rush in, screaming about emails and deadlines. Let him scream at the closed door. You have created a physical boundary, a holy gap between you and the chaos. The silence is no longer empty, it is waiting. But now that the world is shut out, who is left in the room with you? Your own mind deceives you. Before your feet touch the floor, the screen's light invites intruders. They whisper of missed deadlines and regrets, a fever in the blood. Fighting thoughts with thoughts is like fighting fire with gasoline. You drift into darkness, pulled by an unseen current. You need an anchor to hold fast while the storm rages. This heavy stone is older than the city you live in. It is not a complex philosophy, but a single, sharp arrow. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. This is the weapon of silence. When poisonous thoughts try to steal your peace, do not argue. Do not analyze the darkness. Breathe. Speak the name. Return to the center. Again and again. The chain binding you to anxiety begins to break. But words alone are not enough. There is a secret to making the prayer pierce the soul. Your mind has become a dangerous neighborhood to walk alone at night. You lie awake while the city sleeps, but the noise inside never stops. Digital distractions offer no comfort, only fuel for the panic rising within. You are fighting a fire by pouring gasoline on it. Stop. There is a rhythm that breaks the cycle. It begins with the touch of wool, a knot held between your fingers. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. 8 words acting as a barrier against the flood. The intruder in your mind will hate this silence. It will scream about your failures and the shame of yesterday. Do not argue with these shadows. To engage with a poisonous thought is to let it in. Instead, pull the knot. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. This is not magic. It is the training of the heart. Like a stone in choppy water, the name forces the waves to settle. One breath, one prayer. You are tethering your soul to the only thing that does not move. The fever cools. The static fades, leaving you in the quiet. Now that the noise is gone, are you ready to face what you have been running from? You are terrified of a quiet room because you believe it is empty. You scroll through the feed until your eyes burn. You turn on the television just for the background hum. You fill every second with distraction to avoid the drop. What are you actually running from? You are running from the presence that waits when the world finally shuts up. We have been tricked into thinking silence is a vacuum. We imagine a cold, dark place where we are left alone with the intruder in our mind, forced to stare at our regrets. But that is the lie that keeps you tired. Real silence is not physics. It is a meeting. Silence is not a what. Silence is a who. When the inner chatter dies down, when you stop rehearsing arguments and counting tomorrow's money, you do not find nothingness. You find him. He has been standing there the whole time, buried under the rubble of your distraction. We feel lonely only because we are too loud to hear the heartbeat next to us. To be silent is to finally turn your face toward your Maker. It is the moment the child stops screaming and realizes the Father is holding him. You are not talking to the air, You are listening to the breath of life. But how do you stay in that room without running away?